Google Lens is for rookies, and if you want to beat your competition, you need to learn how to research items and run comps the correct way. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I look up comps and why Google Lens is the wrong tool for this job. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share some tips that are going to help you narrow down your search results, and this can make the difference between a $5 profit and a $500 profit. Let's start with a quick story. So this summer I was at a yard sale and I saw some Bose speakers sitting on a table. So I walked over and I flipped the speakers over to grab the model number from the bottom of these speakers. The guy that was running the yard sale came over to me and said, "Hey, did you know that there's an easier way to do that?" So I went along with it as I was looking up the comps and said to him, "How is that?" And he said, "Have you ever heard of Google Lens?" And then he proceeded to become the best salesperson I've ever met for Google Lens. He told me how great it was, how easy it was, how all you have to do is take a picture of it and it will bring up the exact item you're looking for and tell you exactly what the item is worth. While he's explaining all this to me, I run my own comps using the model number, and I learned that these speakers will sell for $100 shipped on the eBay platform. With this in mind, once he finishes telling me about how great Google is, I ask him, "How much do you want for the speakers?" He proceeds to tell me, well, he looked them up on Google Lens and that they sell for $300, but he's going to offer me them today for $200. This guy was being very genuine and he thought he was giving me a great offer. Now, I typically have a rule where if I'm at a yard sale, I don't offer less than 50% of what the person wants for the item. I love to negotiate and I'll negotiate deals. However, if we are more than 50% off and I have to offer them less than 50%, it's not worth it. It's going to offend them and it's going to hurt any future items that I might look at the yard sale. So because he's at $200 and I know that they sell for $100 and I need to be closer to like $40, $50, I'm not even going to send him an offer on that item. So I just say, okay, I'll have to think about it and move on. Now, this guy wasn't crazy. This guy was being very genuine and being very nice, and he wasn't actually trying to scam me. He genuinely thought that his speakers were worth $300 and he was giving me a great deal at $200. However, I know these speakers only sell for $100. So how do we end up so far apart if we both were using the same tools, the internet and looking up the item? Well, the difference is that Google Lens is a guess. Google Lens is analyzing a picture using AI and it's guessing what the item is. Now, with some items it can do really well because the item is unique and there's only one kind made, so it's able to pull up the exact comp. But with something like a Bose speaker, it has a hard time figuring out exactly which model speaker this is. So when he took a picture using Google Lens, it may have pulled up a different model that was actually worth $300. However, since I went and looked at the actual model number and I searched that on eBay, it showed me the exact speaker that we were both looking at rather than guessing at which speaker it was. The other factor is that Google just pulls up some random comps. And these are actual live listings. Google doesn't show you what it actually sold for. Google shows you what it is currently selling for. So Google may have even gotten the speaker correct in the correct model number, but it brought up a listing of someone that had the item listed for sale. Now, just because someone lists an item for $300 does not mean that that is what the market value of that item is. To understand the market value of the item, you have to go into the sold comps on eBay and see what that item is actually selling for. So when I say that the item was worth $100, that means the item is consistently selling for $100. It disregards the fact that someone might have had that item listed for $300. It doesn't make that item worth $300 just because one person overpriced the item. It only matters what the market is willing to pay for the item, and Google does not take this into play. I've been to plenty of yard sales and swap meets where the person selling will go on to Google and pull up the exact listing. I'll walk up and say, "Hey, how much is this worth?" And they say, "Give me a second," and I'll watch them scan the item and it will bring up a listing on Google and they'll say, "I am asking $30. And they come up with that because they look on Google and it says $30 for this item. So they think it is worth $30. Now, they don't dig any deeper than that. Maybe the item that Google pulled up is a brand new item sealed in the box and they're selling a used item. Maybe the item that they pulled up isn't the exact model that they had. And it's definitely not pulling up sold listings, so it doesn't have the market value. So when I end up at these yard sales or dealing with with these flea market swap meet vendors and they pull out Google Lens and they're looking it up, there's two things I know. They're not a professional and they don't really understand what the market value of the item is. This deal is not for me. If you're pulling out Google Lens when I ask what the price of the item is and we're trying to negotiate based off of what Google just told you, the deal isn't for me. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to go find someone else that actually wants to sell items today and understands that just because something sells for a lot of money online doesn't mean that it sells for a lot of money locally. Now, this isn't just bashing on people that run yard sales and swap meets. I see it a lot at thrift stores. I'll see people at thrift stores pick up items, they scan the barcode or they use Google Lens and they look at the item and they pull it up and they either throw it in their cart or leave it on the shelf. And it goes both ways. Sometimes they leave items on the shelf that I'll go look up the correct way and I'm like, hey, this item is super valuable. I don't know why they put it back. And then in other cases, they scan the item using Google Lens and they're like, wow, this item is worth a lot. And they throw it in the cart and I look at it and I'm like, that item isn't worth anything. But because they used Google Lens and not looking at the actual eBay sold information, they think it is of value. And Google might have gotten the wrong model number. So this goes both ways. This goes for resellers and people at yard sales and swap meets. If you're using Google Lens to figure out your sell-through rate and your pricing strategy, you're not doing yourself any favors and you need to learn how to properly look up items. So this is one of my favorite things. When I was at the thrift store the other day, I saw this sitting on the shelf and many people passed over it. And there's two reasons behind this. One is Goodwill actually put the sticker right over the barcode. You'll see that a lot. They'll even mark it out so you can't scan it. So a lot of lazy people won't even pick this up and look it up because they now have to type it in. They can't just scan the barcode. So when I saw this, I didn't know if this was a value or not, but I love new sealed items, so I thought I'd give it a quick search. So I hopped on and I see that it says Blade Runner and it's for drywall. So I went on to eBay and I typed in Blade Runner drywall. And what it brought up was 6 listings, with one of them being a t-shirt and the other one's just being some replacements for this tool, but none of the actual tool. So then I have to ask myself, how many resellers went and looked up Blade Runner drywall, saw that there was none listed and moved on? Well, I always go one step further. So I went in and I clicked on sold. And what this brought up was there's actually 2 of these items that sold, and one sold for $80 and the other one sold for $89. Now, how many resellers didn't take the extra 2 seconds to go look at the sold information? These are the items we're looking for. This was an $8 item that I'm going to be able to turn into $90, and it was all because I wasn't lazy. I didn't just try to scan the barcode and say, oops, Goodwill put a sticker over the back, and I didn't just search the name and say, well, there's none listed, there's probably none sold. I took that extra second and I went and I looked and I found out that this item is actually pretty valuable. So if you want to beat your competition, you have to learn how to look these things up and you have to dig a little bit deeper. You need to understand how far you have to dig on an item. If you don't want to spend all this time inside the thrift store looking up items and trying to figure out what it's worth, I highly recommend that you check out my Bolo page. Every day I go on and I give you a bolo that you can actually find. These are items that have great sell-through rates and sell for a decent amount of money and that you can find in almost any thrift store in America. It's completely free to join. The link is in the description, so go ahead and check that out. You have to learn how far you have to dig on an item. So if it's a video game, it might be as simple as scanning the barcode on the back of the case, pulling it up, and then going into condition and picking good condition or acceptable condition, whatever condition you have. Maybe it's brand new. And then narrowing down the search that way and then hitting the sold comps to find out how many are actually selling and what they're actually selling for. That's a simple item, and that's why I like selling video games, and so does every other reseller. It's easy to scan a barcode and run the comps that way. But what happens when it's a piece of clothing? Or what happens when it's a random electronic? You need to learn how far you have to dig. So with clothing, you have to ask yourself, is this brand a pickup no matter what size it is? Or is this brand only a pickup if it's a men's large? Or are these jeans a pickup at whatever size? Or does the size matter? You have to learn the different brands and how far you have to dig for each one of them. Now, a pair of men's Levi jeans might have a really good sell-through rate if that's what you're searching. However, a pair of men's Levi jeans that are a size 52 by 28 might not have a good sell-through rate because there's not as many people looking for that size of jean. The same goes for like a Patagonia jacket. Patagonia jackets have a great sell-through rate, but what about a men's extra small Patagonia jacket? Does it have the same sell-through rate as a men's extra large jacket? I don't know. You have to look this up. So when you have the item in front of you, you need to know what matters and what doesn't matter. And a lot of these choices can be narrowed down on the left-hand navigation using the filters. So just go in and change the size, change the condition, change what you need to change so that you're getting accurate comps. Because if you just search Patagonia jacket and you don't even narrow down the size, you're not getting accurate representation of what the sell-through is and what the pricing is. Men's Patagonia extra small jackets are going to sell for less than men's Patagonia extra large jackets. Now, it may go even further than just narrowing down to a size. You might actually have to find the model number. So like with those Bose speakers, I can't just type in Bose speakers and then base my pricing on all of the Bose speakers. There's hundreds of different kinds of Bose speakers and they all price differently and they all have different sell-through rates. So you have to learn where to look for these model numbers and style numbers. On almost every piece of clothing that's worth reselling, so like your higher end clothing that you're actually trying to resell, there's going to be a style code on that clothing, or they'll have the name of the style on the back of the clothing. So learn where these tags are, learn where these style numbers are, and then go use these style numbers and model numbers to find the actual item. So for the Bose speakers, I found the model number, I hop onto Google, I type in Bose with the model number afterwards. Google's going to bring it up and it's going to tell me the exact name of those speakers. So now that I have the exact name, I'm going to go back to eBay and I'm going to put that exact name in there. Now you can use eBay with the model number. However, most sellers aren't putting the model number in their title. So if the model number isn't in the title, then you're not going to be pulling up the accurate information. This is even more true for clothing. No one's putting the model number in the title for pieces of clothing. They want to know what the name of the clothing is. So find those numbers, search it on Google, find the name of the piece of clothing or the name of the item, and then go back to eBay and search using the name, and you'll be able to find those items and understand exactly what they are selling for. Did you guys know that 78% of you guys watching this video right now are not subscribed? I'm going to be creating a bunch of great content in the coming weeks. You're not going to want to miss this information. It's going to help you become a better eBay reseller. So if you're enjoying this video, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Now, this may sound like a lot of work. You might just be like, well, Google Lens is easy. Like I just take a picture of it. Like why would I do all this extra work? Why would I find the style number and then search it on Google and then go back to eBay? Well, if you want to know the actual sold information, this is the way you have to do it. And this is the way you can outsmart your competition. They might pass on that jacket because they don't understand that the extra large version of that jacket sells really well where the small does not. Or this specific model of this Bose speaker sells for more than this model over here. So I can pay a lot for this one and that one I can't pay a lot for. So you have to understand these things and you have to learn where these model numbers and style codes are. For most clothing, it's going to be on the inside tag that's on the bottom of the piece of clothing, but there's some exceptions to that. So like Patagonia always has a style number on the bottom tag there, but like Lululemon has a little dot and that will be hidden in various spots like a back pocket or inside a bra liner. And you have to learn this. These are things you can learn by just going on Google and figuring out where they keep their style codes. All these companies will have a style code or a model number because they need to know what the item is when they're selling it. And once you have that information, you now know exactly what item you have, and you don't have to rely on Google to guess what the item is. These next two tips here changed everything for looking up items. When you go on the eBay and you search something, you're going to get other random results along with the item. So a good example of this is ink. So if you have an HP 67 ink cartridge and you type in HP 67 ink cartridge, it's going to show you listings of HP 67, but it's also going to show you a bunch of HP 68. And the same is also true for remote controls and lots of other items. It brings up similar items. It is best search results. It's not exact results. So if you want to narrow down to the actual item you're looking for, and you don't want to have to go in and say, oh, was this one HP 67 or 68? I searched for 67. Why is it showing me 68? Go do yourself a favor. After this video, go search Boolean search results, eBay. If you go onto Google and you type that phrase in, there's going to be a bunch of articles that get pulled up, and these articles are going to break down the various tips that you can use to help narrow down your search and find those items and keep the other items that you don't want to see out of your search result. Now, there is a lot of different little tricks that you can use, and like I said, I would go check out one of these articles here, as they do a great job of explaining all the different kinds of ways you can search using Boolean search terms. However, the two that I use almost daily are quotation marks and the minus sign. So quotation marks work great for something like the HP 67 case. So if you type in HP 67 and you're getting a bunch of HP 68 along with the HP 67, go into your search and at the top there, put quotes around HP 67. Now when you search on eBay, it will only show you HP 67. It has to have those exact phrases in it, and it's more of an exact search rather than a best search results. So now you've actually narrowed it down, kept all the other HP cartridges out of the search result, and you can get an accurate sell-through rate. There has been countless times where I pick up a remote control after someone else has picked it up, and they may have searched it and saw that there was 25 listed and only 2 sold. But what they didn't quite realize was that of those 25 that were listed, only one of them was the exact one that they had in their hand. And the 2 that were sold were also the 2 that they had in their hand. But it was showing you a bunch of other best search results. So when I got that remote and I put quotes around the remote number, it actually pulled up 1 listed, 2 sold. That's a great item. I'm picking that item up. These are the items we're looking for. These are the ways we can outsmart the competition. The minus sign can come in handy when you search something and you're getting other things that don't even relate to the item. So this can sometimes happen when you're searching for an electronic. Sometimes I'll search for an electronic and it'll bring up car parts. Let's say I search for a computer part, but it's also pulling up some Ford car parts. So what I would do is I'll continue with however I searched, but then I'll put a minus sign and the word Ford. Now it's going to remove any listing that has the word Ford in it. So now I'm only seeing the computer parts. This also works well with clothing. So if you're looking for a shirt and you don't want to see the blue shirts, you only want to see the other colored shirts, you can search for your shirt and then put the minus sign and blue, and it's going to remove any listing that has the word blue in the title. This will really help you narrow down on the items. I can't tell you how many times I'm out at the thrift store and I'll pick something up and it doesn't look good at first, but if I add quotes around it, now I'm actually getting the realistic comps. I'm removing the other crap from the search result and I'm getting the actual information. I'm like, wow, this is the item I was actually looking for. It's a lot of work to go out to a thrift store and constantly be looking things up and then putting quotes around things and minus marks and looking at the solds. It is way, way easier to just use Google Lens. But here's the truth. Every reseller and every person running a yard sale knows about Google Lens. Everyone is doing that. You don't want to do what everyone else is doing. Think for yourself and use these tools to outsmart your competition. You're going to find more items if you search it this way. You're also going to understand your sell-through rate and your pricing better, so you're not picking up a bunch of junk that isn't actually selling or doesn't sell for the price that Google told you that it would sell for. If you've enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this one, so go ahead and give it a click.